Hello guys, happy, well, it's been New Year. It's still January and I am back with you with an exciting video. It is going to be a life update. I thought I would kind of like sit down with you guys and answer some questions. I did ask you guys a long time ago to send me some questions because I had planned on doing a Q&A and answer a video, but I never got around to doing it because my intent was to do it in the 73 questions Vogue style. Then I realized it was not feasible to do it based on those questions that you guys sent me. I thought, you know what, this warrants me sitting down to actually do a life update. And also I've been meaning to do a life update to tell you guys kind of like, you know, why I moved to Mexico. I mean, I don't owe anybody any explanation, but I thought, you know, it would be nice to actually sit down to kind of like give you guys some context on why I moved to Mexico. So this update is going to be on why I moved to Mexico. There's going to be another life update telling you guys the reason on why I moved back to New York. But I'm pretty sure you are curious about what I am wearing on my lips. I line my lips first with Max Spice, and then on top of it I've got Xoxo Rose by Spixie. It's a beautiful lip gloss. It gives you a really beautiful color and it's very minty. I love it. And then on top of that I've got the lip glow oil by DIOR. This is my favorite. I love the Fenty also. I used to have the Fenty. I don't know if I still have it anymore, but the Fenty used to be one of my favorite one because it smells so good. The color is beautiful. But I have since moved on to the DIOR lip glow oil, but I think I am going to be checking out the Fenty again. I kind of miss it because I feel like this year I'm going back to gloss because I feel like glosses are just like so girly, so feminine. I want to go back to more glosses instead of matte lipstick because matte can just like take a toll on your face, honestly. As much as I used to love a good matte, it makes my face look a little bit too serious. It is so funny, I used to hate glosses, but now I am turning into a gloss girl. Now I see the hype about gloss because I don't know, it just brings that youthful glow to your face. And also on my jewelry, it's a Citrine necklace. This is from Taylor Plazelle. I thought it was so beautiful. Again, this is not my birthstone. I just love yellow and I thought that, you know what, I don't have any necklaces that has yellow. I wanted the emerald green. This was a gift, by the way. I wanted the emerald emerald because that's my favorite stone, but they I think it was just like so much more than any of the other stones, so I ended up going for the yellow because I thought, you know what, I love yellow anyway, so it would be perfect. And then I've got my croissant rings from Mejuri. I have a link below if you want to check it out. If you do not have the croissant ring, do not know what you're talking about. And then I've got this one from Monaco Venator, love it. And then I also, this bracelet is actually from Mejuri. It's gold. I've never taken it off since it's been put on my arm. And then this is from Havro. This one is gold. This one I never take off, but these two rings I take off before I shower and when I get back from the day. And then my dress is from, you know, nap dresses, you know, Nation Babies from Hill House. It's one of my favorites. I thought I would have it in the black so I can dress it up, and also on those days when it's that time. If you want me to do this makeup look, let me know. And I will recreate it for you. I am wearing tinted moisturizer. I'm not really wearing foundation today. I'm just using a tinted moisturizer by Laura Mercier. Let me know if you want this natural look and then I will recreate it for you. So let's get into it. It's always been my dream. I know I wasn't born in the state. I was born and raised in Haiti, but I came here not because of my kind of like free will almost. Not to say that I'm not grateful. I'm very grateful that I ended up here actually, because in my dreams, back in my mind back in Haiti, I always thought I would end up in Europe. So I am kind of like happy here than I ended up here than I did in Europe. Actually, it reminds me of that TikTok, American Dreams, the best country in the world. I need to do that TikTok, by the way. So I'm very happy that I ended up in the States instead, because I feel like here taught me so much more than I feel like I would have learned in Europe. in terms of, you know, hardworking and everything else. I know, you know, Europe is very good for like a quality life, but then again, it's very similar in Haiti. I lived a very quality life in Haiti, so I'm happy to be on the other side where it's more like hardworking, and then, you know, kind of like almost go. So like I said, I am so grateful that I ended up here. But then again, like I said, it wasn't my free will, it was my parents that brought me here, which I'm very grateful for, because oh my goodness, I'm so happy that I was able to move here. So, and then as soon as I touched down in London, it felt like home. It's the same with New York. As soon as I stepped down in New York, I felt like home, and it was the same feeling that I experienced when I got to London. And then I loved it. I enjoyed my time there. I was there for like over a week in London. It was my first trip, an international trip, if you're not counting Canada. We don't count Canada because that's our backyard. Sorry, I'm just joking, guys. You know, some people don't get my sense of humor, but I'm just very sarcastic. Just, you know, let it go. But yeah, so London was my first international trip that I did by myself, because again, at the time I had friends, and you know, we've always planned to, like, you know, go on vacation together. They always canceling last minute. I got to a point where I got fed up, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore. I'm not asking anyone to go anywhere with me. I'm just gonna buy my ticket, and then I'm just like, if it's one of the safest places I know that I can go, it's going to be London. And also at the time, there was an app called Travel Buddy, where you can actually meet up with people from other places. So I ended up on Travel Buddy. I met a couple of people in London, plus one of my best friends at the time, she's Japanese. We went to photography school together, so she had friends that were living in London, so she passed me the information. And then I think at the time I had like someone randomly that I met online as well, that and then, you know, that we started talking and everything. So yeah, so I had like a few people kind of like lined up there to actually kind of like meet up, but then again, I wasn't really counting on them. I was just like, I'm just going there, I'm just gonna do whatever, and then I'm just going to enjoy myself and have a good time. Like I said, as soon as I touched down in London, it felt like home, and I'm just like, I did not want to get back. It's to the point where I almost wanted to miss my flight just so I can spend another few days there. I know, that's how much I loved it. So I ended up going to Brighton, to Wiltshire, you know, all that jazz, to Stonehenge. It was so much fun. I had such a great time. Oh my goodness. And I promised myself that, you know, 10 years, you know, after 10 years I would come back and live here. Not really 10 years. I just said, you know what, I'm going to be working towards, you know, being financially stable, or what I was trying to do is actually to find a job that has offices in England, just so I can move to London. So that was my goal for like years and years, but I could never find a job that had offices in England that would take me, and then just so I can move to London, whatever. So I had set it on even at my last job, I've been there for like 8 years, and on my computer at work, the picture that I had was the house that I was going to be living in London. For like 8 years, I had the same wallpaper on my computer of where I would be living in London, and even my password was something London something. So don't try me. But yes, for the longest time I had London in my mind. So I had told myself that in 2020 was the year that I would move to London, and then boom, COVID happened. So COVID happened, you know, and then I'm just like, oh, you know, that really got me thinking that, hey, you know, like, this is the time to actually do what you want, because life is short. And I was kind of like very grateful that I've traveled to like many other places, because I'm just like, if I hadn't traveled, I would be really upset with the whole pandemic happened, you can't go anywhere and everything. It was a year of reflection for me, and then that gave me the opportunity in 2021 to quit my job and become my full-time boss, which is something that I've been dreaming of doing for the longest time. And then when that happened, I'm like, whoa, now is the time to actually plan on the move. So Mexico was never part of my plan. I never even dreamed, it never even crossed my mind to even move to Mexico. Mexico was never part of the picture. London or I should say England, has always been the place that I wanted to move. I've always saw myself living in London for a few years and then moving back to the countryside, you know, Wiltshire or the Cotswolds or something, and just be like Lydia or Josie or one of those girls. So that's the dream that I had for myself. And then I thought myself I would retire in the south of France after I've lived in the London and then the countryside of London. Then I thought that I would spend my last days on earth on the countryside. So I thought that I would spend the last few years that I have left in the south of France, because I don't know where I got this idea, because I just felt like that's where I need to be buried or something. I don't know what it is. I just have this inclination that, you know, my last days will be spent in the south of France, of me being a florist or something. I'm just like, I'm just gonna retire there and then just like sell flowers or something, or have a boulangerie or something like that. So that's always been the plan. Like I said, Mexico was never part of the plan for me. And then I started watching, I even wrote down my list of what I wanted in my apartment. I started setting up a website. I even like bookmarked an apartment that I wanted. I wanted to live in Kensington. Of course, I always like to be in the bougie areas. I mean, okay. So I have a couple of friends in London. I've already told them, hey, you know, I'm moving there next year. So I was supposed to be moving to London actually this year, this March or April. So I was deciding between moving before my birthday or after my birthday. I was thinking, should I spend a last birthday here in New York, or should I just make it a tradition and start, you know, and have my first birthday in England? So that was the plan. Actually, I had been planning, and then I thought I was gonna renew my lease. Not really renew my lease, ask them to renew the lease for just 6 months, because 6 months will give me just until March. So I thought that would be the perfect time for me to move to London. So that was the plan. And then I was just like started saving my money. I wasn't really like buying anything crazy, because my plan was just London. I started trying to, like, you know, find people to connect with and everything, you know, when I get there, so that way it's just like easier. I started even looking for like photographers and stuff like that to shoot with and all that good stuff. And then I started watching documentaries on Netflix and Amazon Prime on, yeah, I started watching documentaries about London and learning the history, you know, about the country. I mean, not London per se, England in general. And then I discovered that crazy fire that happened like a century ago, and then the plagues that London has like every 100 years. I mean, it was only a matter of time until we got to another Abby, go outside. Tati's filming a video. Are you happy that Tati's back from Mexico?
Yes.
Tell them. You happy?
Yes.
Why are you happy that I'm back?
Because I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Why are you so cute, Abby? Alright, give me 10 minutes, okay, baby? You can have that lip gloss. Go. Close the door for me.
Forever?
No. Oh, the lip gloss? Yeah, you can have that forever.
Yes?
Yeah. I'll be right out, okay? Give me 10 minutes, sweetheart. Thank you. So yes, and then I started reading and I'm just like, oh hell no. That kind of like turned me off a little bit. I'm just like, then I started questioning. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to move to London now. You know, after learning the history and also the whole monarchy, you know, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this whole thing. You know, I started kind of like changing my mind. I'm just like, oh, London's always been a dream for me. Like, I don't know now, you know, with everything that I'm just like, you know, finding out. Don't get me wrong, I still want to live in London though. I still want to live there for like a month or so. I want to try it for a month, so I'm planning on doing that, I think, at the end of this year. So I'm thinking for the month of like December, I want to actually spend it there, because I would love to spend Christmas there, because I don't know, I just think it's just like so beautiful and everything. So we will see what happens, but that's the plan. I plan on spending a month there towards the end of the year. We'll see what happened. And I started changing my mind slowly, and then I'm just like, well, since, you know, since I've always wanted to kind of like retire in the south of France and spend my last day there anyways, so I may as well just like move to France instead, because I already speak French, and then I would love to get my French back anyways, because I haven't been speaking French over the last decade. So I'm like, it would be nice for me to just get my French back. So I was just like, maybe I should move to Paris. But then again, I'm not the biggest fan of Paris. You guys know it. I've been very honest about it. I did not enjoy it the first time that I went. I did enjoy it more the second time. And then for the third time, I've been to Paris 3 times, right? Yeah, I think about 3 times. And then I started enjoying a little bit more. And I'm just like, But then again, I cannot see myself living there like long term. Which I don't know why, because when I was little, I've always thought that I would live there and like study literature or something silly like that. So so then I'm just like, I feel like I could never get bored of like New York City or London, but I feel like I feel like Paris, I would actually get bored of it. I don't know why I have this thing in my mind. Maybe I would be wrong. So but also, let's circle back. Like I told you guys, I love New York City. I think it's like the perfect city for me. But after moving out during the pandemic to Jersey and everything, kind of like thinking about my options and everything, it's just like I wasn't sure if New York City was home for me. Like I feel like I knew, but I feel like I needed to actually get out to actually kind of like figure that out. I wasn't sure. And then, you know, when you meet people and then they tell you, oh yeah, I lived here for a year, I lived there for a year. I've always wanted to be one of those people that can say they lived somewhere else. Not to say they just lived there, but I just feel like, I don't know, it's just such like a cool thing to experience living somewhere, and somewhere that you decided to go on your own. Like that's a decision that you made. It doesn't matter if it's for work or for love. Whatever your decision was, I still want it to just be like a decision that you made yourself to kind of like move there. You know, whether to study, you know, whether if it's, you know, you found a job, or whether you found love, or whatever the reason was, I wanted to be one of those people that could say that they live somewhere else. So that's always been a dream of mine, even though I've lived somewhere. I mean, born and raised in Haiti, so I've technically lived in like 2 different places. But for some reason, I just felt like, you know, it's like, first I was born there, it wasn't my choice. Second, I was brought to the US, wasn't my choice. So I wanted to go live somewhere where it was my choice, that I could say that, yeah, I live there. So let's go back. And then so I started making that decision around the same time last year about moving to England. So I wrote down my list what I needed in an apartment. I even found the perfect apartment and everything. And then on May, I think like 5 months later or something, that's when I started changing my mind. I was like, maybe I should just move to Paris instead. And then I started, you know, watching a lot of videos, you know, how to move to Paris and everything. And then every videos that I was finding, it would actually convincing me not to move there instead of moving there, because I just felt like things were just like so much harder. I was watching Dim and Dominic, like looking for an apartment, how hard it is with the rules and regulation and everything, how, you know, they're not really like, you know, really responsive if something is broken, if you need something fixed in your apartment. And again, after living in the US and specifically New York City, where things are so convenient, I'm at the point of my life where if there's struggle involved, I do not want to do it. Like, no thank you. Yeah, so I kind of like switched, you know. It took me like 2 months to actually started getting my paperwork together and everything. I literally got all the paperwork that I almost needed, and then I set up an appointment with the French, you know, embassy and everything like that. You know, you have to go to they make it so difficult. I cannot tell you, so freaking difficult. First time I had to fly to Atlanta. So on my trip to Atlanta, when I tell you guys about when I was so secretive, please go watch that video. I'm gonna link it there. When I was so secretive, I couldn't tell you what I was doing in Atlanta. That's what I was doing, because I could not find an apartment anywhere else for the date that I wanted. So I had to fly to Atlanta to go for that appointment, to talk to the, you know, French embassy and everything. So that's why I was in Atlanta. Finally, I am revealing it here, because I had to do an appointment there. So I had an appointment, and I was staying at a hotel right across the street from the place that does, you know, the thing is, it used to be you set up an appointment with the French embassy, they do an interview and everything. It doesn't work like that nowadays. They hire like an outside company that take all the information, that take your fingerprint and everything. You pay the fee, and then they send that information to DC, and then all that is being reviewed at DC. So you don't have that one-on-one that you used to have. I think it's because of COVID, or maybe it happened before COVID. I am not sure, but anyone that I've watched their video that's moved to France back in 2017, all of them, they've actually had an interview with someone from the embassy that just made the decision right there and then, I think, from what they've explained. So sadly for me, because of COVID and everything, again, they have this outside company that takes your information, so that way you don't really have that feel, you do not have that, you know, one-on-one with the person who's reviewing your information. So it kind of like make your chance harder to actually get approved. But that wasn't the reason why mine wasn't approved. It was the girl that processed the information. She thought she knew better. So all the paperwork, all the key paperwork that I brought with me, she did not take them. I just said, like, do you need this, do you need that? When I tell you, I organize my life to a T. I'm not even an organized person like that. This was the first time where I organize everything. I make a list. I even bought folders. I put everything so neatly just for me to get there. And homegirl did not even take, not even a half of my paperwork. Not even half. So, and she didn't take the key ones. Like, she didn't take my insurance. I had bought insurance for the entire year. She didn't take like so many key paperwork that I needed for them to review my thing. So because of that, it wasn't complete. So I kind of like had to go in trying to like find another apartment again and try to go to the whole process. I just got like discouraged. I'm just so over this. I'm just like I can't deal with this. And I'm just like, based on the videos that I am watching on how hard it is to like get things done over there, I'm like, I don't think I want to live in that country. Like, I'm just like, you know, Paris is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. I still think it's meeting the most beautiful girl, and she has no personality. I still feel that way, honestly. I mean, not to say that I can have a good time there. I think it's absolutely amazing to go shopping and just do the whole restaurant life. But now I feel like because of the pandemic, with every restaurant having a place to sit outside here in New York City, I feel it's very European-ish now. So I'm just like, I can, you know, can skip the whole thing. So my plan was to live in Paris for 6 months and then move to the south of France. That's where I really wanted to live, because I feel like the south of France, it's me. I could be like Jamie. I don't know if you guys follow Jamie. I absolutely love her. She's an artist. She's from Manhattan. She moved to the south of France. She created like beautiful art, and I'm like, this is the kind of lifestyle. It's just to wear floaty dresses, beautiful feminine dresses, make art, and just be that like cool person. So that's what I saw myself at. So I thought, you know, I'll live in Paris for 6 months and then move. But then again, based on all the videos that I was watching, how hard it is and everything, I'm just like, oh no, sweetheart. But there is a way you can actually move to Paris, or you can live there for like 3 months if you want to, without, you would actually get like a student visa, but you don't have to actually go to school. All you have to do is actually take a French class at La Sorbonne, and then you can live there. And then of course you could probably renew it again if you really want to move to Paris. You can actually try it that way, because when you're a student, things are so much easier for you to do. So you get an apartment easier, you get things easier. So I am still thinking about doing that actually at the end of this year. I was thinking maybe like around September, I would probably kind of like, you know, live in Paris for like a month or something, and then see how I like it. Or just for the fun of it, just like live there for a month and, you know, whatever. Deb was very interested in moving as well. So Deb was the person who actually brought Mexico to the surface. Like I said, Mexico never even crossed my mind, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to move to Mexico and everything. Because to me, what I associate Mexico with was just Tulum, and I do not like Tulum. Tulum is too hot, it's too humid, it's overpriced, it's overrated, the food is trash. I'm just like, that's in my mind because it's the only place that I've been to in Mexico. So I've only associated myself with Tulum, and then also the hot weather, because I do not like hot weather. I cannot stand it. Like summertime in New York City is the best time. I love it here. But for me to live somewhere with summertime all year long, I just cannot do it. And mind you, I'm from the Caribbean where it was like 90 degrees every freaking day, but I don't like it. the time was coming up, my lease was ending, and I'm just like, I really want to actually move somewhere else. And then I was looking for a place that has just makes it so easy for people to just move, like where you don't even need paperwork or anything like that. Somewhere that was like so easy. And then I was actually looking for a visa video on Friends. I discovered a lot of like black girls moving to Mexico, and I'm just like, wait a minute, how come I've never heard of this? So all of a sudden I just spent like an entire week watching every girl's video, every black girl's video who's moved to Mexico, like talking about the experiences and everything. Most of them moved to Merida, which was where I first wanted to live, because that's where they were like, oh, it's the safest place. I was just like, okay, whatever, I guess I'll try it. But I just knew Merida wasn't for me because it's hot there, and I'm just like, ugh, whatever. But I was like, I will go in and actually see. So my list was ending, and I'm just like, it's time to actually make a decision. It's time to make a move. And then, you know, Deb has brought up, you know, Mexico, and then she wanted to like move there. And I was just like, you know what, why not? It seems like it's going to be so much easier, and also my money is gonna go so much longer in Mexico than in Europe anyways. So I'm just like, if anything, Mexico is probably the place to actually just like get up and just go live there and then see how it is. Literally, I was supposed to move to Paris. And when was I supposed to move to Paris? I was supposed to move to Paris on August 14th. And then just a week before, that's when I had bought my flight and everything for Paris. I was gonna start the course and everything. I was gonna, you know, do everything there. And then last minute I decided that, hey, you know what, I'm going to Mexico again. Like I said, Deb had brought it up, and then through looking for like a video and visas for Friends, I ended up on a video for Mexico. That's when I started considering it. Then I just told them, hey, actually, you know what, Mexico seems like it's a cool place, like, you know, maybe it's not so bad after all. I wouldn't mind, you know, trying it out and everything like that. And then you know, I canceled my flights to Paris and everything like that. I was even gonna book like an Airbnb, but my friend lives there, so I could stay at my friend's for like a couple of weeks until I kind of like figure things out and everything. So so yeah, cancel my flights, bought a flight to Mexico, bought a flight to Merida, Mexico at the end of August. And then yeah, and then I booked a hotel to stay there for 2 weeks and then to try it out and see how it is. And then the week before I moved to Merida, Mexico, that's when I found a video about Mexico City. And then I saw Mexico City, people out there. I just felt like it was, they have this neighborhood called Romanope that looks just like Italy or Paris. Very French, very Italian, very romantic. And I saw all, you know, like people going out to dinner. I saw all the restaurants and everything, and I'm just like, oh, this is like New York City. And I'm like, ah, this is where I am meant to be. And then, you know, I kind of like switched my mind, and I'm just like, I do not want to live in Merida. But because I had bought my ticket there, I even tried to switch my ticket to Mexico City, but they couldn't switch it because I had like a stopover. I had to stop at actually Mexico City airport, but because I had my baggage going there, so I couldn't, you know, like if I had just a carry-on, I could have just missed the second flight, because they say people do that a lot. But it wasn't one of those flights where you can actually get your stuff and we check your bag. Everything was like kind of like sent, so I was just like, whatever, let me go to Merida and see what it's about. I'm happy that I ended up going to Merida. I took those 2 weeks off. It was so freaking hot, I couldn't really do anything. So I was just by the pool every day, just like living my best life, because, you know, I had been working all year and I just felt like I needed that break. So I just took that break. And then after the 2 weeks, I booked another hotel. Deb joined me at the end of the 2 weeks, right when it was time to actually move, get out of the hotel. So she came, I think, like 2 days before. And then I bought my flight for Mexico City, and then we moved to Mexico City. We stayed at an Airbnb, which was amazing, where the whole earthquake thing happened. I will link it there if you guys want to check it out. And then we found an apartment in Condesa, and it was amazing. Like it felt like just the city, like, you know. And then one of the people that follows me on here and Instagram reached out to me, now become one of my good friends, Sandra, Turns out she's Haitian also. Turns out she actually grew up in Wackland just like I did. It's just crazy how this world works. And then started making friends. It was so much fun. Like, we're having a good time, kind of like, you know, trying to learn Spanish and everything. Like, Mexico City is just one of the most underrated place out there. My goodness, like, when you have this view of Mexico and then you actually go there, you're like, whoa, this is completely different than what you see in the news here. Completely different. Like, Mexico City, it's just like New York City. You have those people that are grinding, going to work, doing their thing. You have the people that has money, like shopping and everything. The malls in Mexico City, the shopping, it's just beyond. It's just amazing. Yeah, Mexico City was great. But I'll just kind of like give you guys a little bit of the reason why I kind of moved back. I will make the life update and, you know, most on all the reason why I moved back. But one of the major one is because of my job as a blogger. So I get a lot of packages, you know, for products to review for you guys, and also when I'm working with a brand on a campaign, they send me the product, and it was very hard getting my packages sent here. And then, you know, the wait time and everything like that. So that was getting a lot. I was kind of like spending a lot of money. Like, every month I was flying someone to come to Mexico City to just bring me stuff that I needed, and it was just like, it was just getting a lot. And also I was missing a lot of events, you know, like things started reopening again. I was missing so many like amazing events, like, you know, in the city and everything. So I just had to kind of like make a decision, like what was, you know, best for my career. And then one of the biggest things that I will talk about also is, if you didn't know, I think this has been such an influx of people moving to Mexico. Now they changed their immigration rules. It used to be you get 6 months automatically every time you visit there. Now it's up at the discretion of the immigration officer. So sometimes they will give you 10 days, sometimes they give you 20 days, sometimes they even give you 2 days. So it's becoming really, really hard for people to actually move to Mexico. All that changed on November. That's when I think I came, and then when I came back they gave me like 20 days. I was just, because every time before I've traveled I come back, you know, I've always get my 60 days. This was the first time, and I'm just like, what is happening? And then yeah, it's just a thing now. They changed their immigration rules, you know. I guess they're trying to stop people from just like moving there, you know, without papers and all that stuff. So I guess they're trying to make it a little bit harder for just anyone to just like get up and move there. I don't know why, because I mean, I think the tourists kind of like help with the economy. Anything, it's not like we're there, it's not like we're taking jobs or anything like that. If anything, we're bringing jobs to the country. But then again, it's a reason bigger than me. Again, maybe I am very ignorant for speaking on the subject. I can't really say. I think I met with a lawyer. He actually gave me some reason, which I will go into details in my other video when I do the life update on why I moved back to New York City. But that's why I moved to Mexico, honestly. So it wasn't anything crazy. It's because I've always dreamed of living in another place, and I thought that now it's the time to do it, because if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And also, it's one of the things that's always kept me from being in a super committed relationship. I have commitment issues because of it, because I've always thought I would love to like get up and live in another country, and if my partner is not willing to do that, if it's not on the same page, then I can't be with that person. That's why a lot of like the relationship that I've been to have broken up is because of that, because I want to be able to just get up and say that let's move to another country. I want the person to be on board. But now that I've done it, and I feel like, you know, going there just made me realize that New York City is home for me. Now I just feel like I can do all these things. Now I can be an adult. I feel like now I'm ready to get married. Now I'm ready to have a child, you know, if it's possible, or and things like that. I feel like now I'm ready for those things. Before, I was never ready for these things, because I always had those questions. What if? I don't want to live my life with regrets. I do not want to be in my deathbed thinking I should have done this, you know, I should have moved to another country, I should have tried this, I should have done this. I don't ever want that to be me, which is why I'm just like, instead of me, you know, being with a partner and resenting them for me not being able to do something that I love, you know, I would rather not commit myself to a relationship to anyone. So that's what kind of like stopped me for, you know, being serious. I mean, I got I got close to being engaged so many times, and that's one of the things that broke up the relationship, because I'm just like, you know, at some point I wanted to move to Toronto, and it's just, I mean, I've always wanted to move to England, but he compromised on living to Toronto because it was closer to the US. We can always come back. But eventually I decided, you know what, I don't want to, I mean, I wouldn't mind living in Toronto, but I know I would get bored of it. Toronto is one of my favorite cities, but I just knew that I couldn't live there. I never saw myself there like long term. So yeah, kind of like ended up being a problem. And then again, like I said, that's what's kept me from being in a relationship, committed one, super committed one, for a really, really long time, because I've always had that in the back of my head. And then, like I said, I do not want to resent my partner for something that I want to do, and I do not want them to resent me for something that, you know, they want to do. Like, they want to stay here and everything like that, but, you know, I want to be somewhere else. But now that I've done it, I feel like I'm ready. I'm happy to be able to take that off my list. Since I was, you know, I don't know, of age, or like, you know, grown up a little bit, I've had like a list of things that I wanted to do. One of them was shaving my head, which I did. I have the video on YouTube where I actually shaved my head on camera with you guys, and moved to another country. There's like, those are the things that I've had on my list of things to do in my lifetime. And yeah, I've done that. Now I just feel so much more confident. I just like, I don't know, I feel like I just have like an, you know, IDGF attitude I used to have before, but I feel like it enhanced it. Now I'm just like, I don't care, I'm just gonna live my life to the fullest and just be who I am, and then just like, who cares? So that's the tea, guys, on why I moved to Mexico. It wasn't anything crazy, it wasn't for love, it wasn't for anything like that, you know. It's, again, like I said, Mexico never even crossed my mind. It was never even on my list of places to move to. I'm sorry, never, like I never considered it. It would not have been on my list if, you know, Deb didn't bring it up, one, and if I did not stumble upon that video when I was looking for some information on friends. I found that video on like a lot of Black people moving to Mexico City, and that's when I started, like, you know, considering it like seriously. And then boom, like 2 weeks later, I just abandoned all the paperwork that I've done for friends, all the money that I've paid and everything like that, all the stuff that I booked. I just didn't care. I just like, whatever. And then I switched my flights, and then I was on the flight to Mexico. And then 5 months later, now that we're back in New York City, and I'm happy that I actually waited to do this video. I'm happy that I waited to do it now than doing it before. But you guys did submit me some questions on the thing. I thought I would answer them on here anyways, because that's what I meant to do, was answer these questions in a video. So I'm gonna do it. Sorry if this video is super long, but you guys were interested, so I'm just giving you the tea on what happened. Someone asked for my birthday month. I was born on April 1st. I know, I'm a fool. And someone said something about me look different. I am glowing, even more beautiful. Are you in a relationship? Did you move to Mexico for love or a change of space? I've seen hints of significant other, but can't tell for sure. Didn't want to assume. No, I did not move for love. I did not move for anyone. I just wanted a change of space. And then, like I said, my lease was ending back in Jersey, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to move back to New York City, to the city, or if I wanted to move outside of the country. And since outside of the country has always been a dream of my mind, that's what I had been working on. So that's why I just needed like a change of scenery. I just wanted to see something different. I was honestly bored of just like kind of like waking up and doing the same thing again and again. And then also having in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to like live in another country. So I've always had that kind of like hanging there on my mind. So I just thought it's now or never. So that's why I moved. It wasn't for anyone. How have I gone over the past decade? Oh my goodness, I've gone so much. Like, when I lived in the Bronx for a couple of years, I went through like a spiritual experience, like changed my life. You know, I was in a really, really serious relationship, and you know, it broke off. And then at that point, that's when I stopped kind of like waiting for someone to save me. And I'm just like, no one is going to save you. You have to save yourself. You have to live for yourself. I woke up that day, I'm just like, I will never wait for someone to save me. I will never kind of like depend on someone emotionally for that. And I'm just like, I just like spend the 2 years actually like working on myself like relentlessly, and that's the reason why I am who I am today. That's why I am so unbothered. That's why nothing bothers me. I'm just like whatever. That's because I did the time. I put the time towards working on myself. I invested in myself. I was reading books all the time. I was meditating all the time. Changed my life. Oh my goodness, I've gone so much. I used to have such terrible mindset about everything. I used to be such a negative Nancy. I used to be such a negative person, and I was wondering why bad things used to always happen to me. And then until I was reading a book, you know, sometimes they always say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's so freaking true, because before that information had probably been presented to me, but I never took it serious because I wasn't ready. But the time that I was ready, my goodness, when that information came, and I'm just like, wow. And I'm just like, you know what, I've been negative for so many years, and I've always thought being positive was like so cheesy and just like so whatever. And I'm just like, you know what, if negativity hasn't done anything for me, let me try being positive and change my mindset. Sorry guys, I'm in my mom's room, by the way. And sorry, my camera battery died, so I had to go. So yeah, I was such a negative space, and like I said, The Power of Now, it's such a hard book to read. Like if you're not ready, you probably won't read it. Like the first time I was given the book, it took me 2 years to actually read it, because the first time that I tried, I was just like, no, this is just silly. I'm like, I'm not reading this. It was so deep. And it wasn't until, you know, I have gone to like such a painful experience, that's when I was finally ready to actually read that book. Another one that I would say helped me a lot with mindset was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and another one is How to Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich, it's such an underrated book, my goodness. Like when you think of the title, you're just thinking, oh, this is just all about money. No, that book gives you a mindset all around. It changes like everything. It's such a good book to read. But yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do like a video on books that I recommend, books that changed my life, so perhaps those can help you. I'm telling you, in those 2 years that I spent reading book, and just like, you know, that was the best investment that I did than me going to college, honestly. I wish I had found those books when I was in high school. It would have changed my life. I would not even have needed to go to college. Although, if I had to go into college again, I will do it completely different. I know some people would like to say, oh, you know, I wouldn't want to change a thing. I would want to change a few things. I'm sorry. Yeah, I would. If I had to go back to college again, I would go to an Ivy League. Because now that I realize, because I didn't want to be in debt after school and everything like that. I still feel two ways about it. Some days I'm just like, I wish I would just stick in the money that I spent in college and started a business. But at the same time, like, I wish I would have gone to Ivy Leagues, because at the end of the day, it's your network that makes the biggest difference in your life. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's so true. Like, it's not cliche. It's who you know. Do you plan to work while in Mexico or continue as a full-time influencer? I mean, yeah, so that's what I had planned on doing, to do influencing full-time in Mexico. The thing is, if I had a regular desk job where I could do that from home without an issue, I would still be living in Mexico. The reason why it was harder for me to be there is because I'm an influencer. There's like certain things that I need shipped to me, like, you know, ASAP and everything like that. There are certain campaigns I couldn't do, like if it was an alcohol campaign and I need the thing to be shipped to me. So it was just kind of like very limiting. You know, I was losing a lot of money being there. That's one of the biggest reasons, honestly. I was losing a lot of money being, you know, in Mexico City. Although I was saving a lot of money by, you know, having such cheap rent. My rent was like $500, you know. So yeah, I was kind of like saving close to $2,000 a month, you know, living there. But at the same time, saving $2,000 in, you know, a month based on my expenses, but then again losing out on even, you know, triple that every month based on certain campaigns that I couldn't take, or just like, I don't know, I was just like almost a little bit lazy-ish in a way, because I feel like for me, environment for me, it's a really big thing. That's why I always try to like to put myself in environment or people that are doing things, because it keeps you on my toes, which is what I love about New York City. But I felt there because maybe it's because I didn't have those friends yet that were just kind of like doing things, and also kind of like have friends in the same business. I feel like when you do not have friends that are like in the same business as you, it just makes it really hard to actually find the people that are like kind of like doing certain things to you, so that way that kind of like push you forward. It's, yeah, like it's hard when you're not around that, because I do find for me, when I am around people doing similar things or doing better, it's so much better for me, because it wants me to just like step up my game. It wants me to just like do better and everything. It puts me like in a better position. So that is something that I miss. I feel like over there, you know, life is more chill. Of course, Mexico City, it's a lot about working, but at the same time, it's still a little bit more chill than New York, where I'll just be like, oh, it's fine. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I don't need that much money to live here, so I can just say no to this campaign. I could just do this, I could just do that. So I kind of feel myself like resting on my laurels a little bit, and also, like I said, being a little bit lazy. So I just did not like that about myself. So yeah, that's another reason also. So yes, I was doing influencing the whole time that I was in Mexico City. If you could do one thing different, what would it be? If I could do one thing different, like I said, it's about school. I would actually have gone to an Ivy League. I've always wanted to go to either somewhere in Boston or what is my favorite vegetarian dish? Will we get more content about dressing for a larger chest? I want to do more content on dressing for larger chest before I get my reduction. It's probably the biggest thing on my list to do this year. I am kind of like over living with back pain. I'm just kind of like over, you know, never wearing the stuff that I like. I'm kind of like over kind of like looking like, I don't know, sometimes people, because I'm so tiny, it's just like, you know, my boobs are so big for my body, sometimes it could look out of place. Not even like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a stripper or anything like that, but sometimes it could just feel like, you know, in that spectrum. Probably boiled plantains with, you know, sauce. That's probably my favorite. That's my favorite dish ever. Tostones, plantains in general, my favorite dishes, like anything. Or also, I really love rice mixed with yuca. Not yuca, what is that thing called? It's called kalalu in Creole, but it's that green vegetable. My goodness, oh, why can't I remember? Sorry, I'll put it in the screen if I can remember. I'll leave it below, but that's probably my favorite thing, you know, vegetarian dish. Since your original song is French, not Paris, why not Paris? I'm guessing you speak Spanish too, just wondering. Yes, guys. So Spanish, I mean, France was, you know, my second choice. My first choice was England, London to be specific, but the second choice, excuse me, was Paris. So that's what I had planned on going. It was just like 2 weeks, actually just a week before I moved to Paris, I changed my mind and everything like that, because it was just taking so long with the paperwork and everything like that. I was just like getting fed up. I just did not want to go through it again, because I'm very impatient. I'm just like, if I don't get my way, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to deal with it. So yeah, speak Spanish. I wish I had taken Spanish serious when I was younger. I've always taken English serious, never Spanish. I could have been so good at speaking Spanish right now, but even then I still understand a lot because of my French. Because I speak French, I still understand a lot. Hello, or Bonjour. Can you make a video on filming or shooting, camera setting up, and your background? The background of my last apartment. I'm very, like, it's so crazy to me how people sometimes would rather kind of like ask a question instead of just like doing a search. All you have to do is just like search, Google search French molding, Amazon. That's where I got that background in my last apartment, where I had the molding and everything. That was from Amazon, like 40 bucks or something like that. Super easy. Just Google French molding background and then Amazon will come up where you actually find it. Can I make a video on filming or shooting? I will. This year I plan. I feel like over the last you know, decade that I've been on YouTube, I've always promised you guys a lot of videos. I never make them, and this year is the year that I redeem myself. I am kind of like over myself. I'm like, you know what, this year I'm gonna make all the content that I promised. I'm gonna make everything. I'm just like, I'm so over myself. I'm doing everything this year. Just wanted to say you look absolutely beautiful, no question. Thank you. My favorite nail polish. My favorite nail polish colors is going to be Chanel. Sorry, Chanel. Right now I'm wearing Ballerina. Whenever I'm doing like a campaign for like a beauty products, I always go with nude. My favorite one is the red one, is the 510 Gitane. But I just feel like because red can be overpowering, it can take over the product. I do not want that to happen. So for that, I just use Ballerina. Ballerina, just like a ballerina. It's just the most beautiful nude color that you would ever see. My goodness, I am obsessed with this color. It probably come more opaque on camera, but it's like very kind of like a pinkish nude, but it just looks so neutral, so beautiful. Child, do you feel like your style would change now that you've moved to Mexico? What's the fashion like there? Are people materialistic? When I moved from the UK to Italy, my style changed. It's normal to wear revealing outfits in the UK as opposed to Italy. The style is more conservative. I adjusted. Yes, I do think my style changed when I was in Mexico. Honestly, I feel like it changed to more being Parisian than before. I was experimenting more with black and that more kind of like French chic look. You would think it will go in the other direction where I'll be more chill, but I feel like my style, I think it's because I'm just like, oh, since I can't be in Paris, why not just like be more Parisian here? How's the fashion there? The fashion there is actually really nice. People do dress up, my goodness. Like I told you, it's kind of like very similar to New York City. It's very similar to New York City. When you go to those clubs, when you go to those restaurants, you just be like, wait a minute, where am I? Everyone is just dressed to the nines. I mean, of course, people regularly walking around looks fine, but the neighborhood that I am, it's kind of like the Lower East Side or East Village, kind of like where I used to live in Manhattan. Yeah, it's very like that. So yeah, people there do dress up. I mean, it's not like, you know, New York City or anything like that, but I feel like even in New York City, people don't even dress like that. Especially if you're not in certain neighborhoods. If you're not like in Soho or Upper East Side and things like that, I feel like people are just like mad regular. Like sometimes I'm like so disappointed in a lot of New Yorkers. I'm just like, what are you wearing? Like, but it is what it is. So yeah, my style did change. The fashion there is very nice. Again, Mexico City, if you don't know, it's not like hot. It's like, you know, it's very elevated, so it's very cold in the morning. It only goes up to like 70s during the day. It doesn't get too hot. You can still wear your coat in the winter. That's what I love, Mexico City. Are people materialistic? Not really. I mean, you know, just a lot of the girls, it's just girls, but not like, you know, here. So yeah, I feel like they're more family oriented than materialistic. So yeah, but there's nothing wrong with being materialistic. I love, you know, material things. Why did I decide to go to Mexico City again? I was supposed to move to Mérida. The reason why I moved to Mexico City instead of Mérida is because Mexico City felt like more like New York City, because it's a big city. I love big cities. I do not like small town. I'm from a small town, and I hated like my entire life living there because everyone will be in your business. Everyone knows what you're doing. I hate that. I love living in a big city where no one knows you, where you're just like a stranger, where there's always people coming in and out. I love that. That's why I love New York City so much. And that's why I'm like, I don't think I could ever live in a small town. Even if I wanted to, I just cannot see that for myself. So that's why I moved to Mexico City. But to Mexico in general, I just spoke about that. Just watch the beginning of the video. You know, it was never part of the plan. It just, you know, so happened that I was fed up with doing my paperwork, you know, for friends. And after, you know, leaving the thought of living in England behind, I'm just like, whatever. I'm just curious, before you were deciding whether to get a breast reduction, is it still in your plans? I just talked about that. Yes, it's one of the things that I am absolutely doing this year. It is happening. In your New York vlogs, your mom was consistently in the background cooking for you, driving around. How did she take me moving to Mexico? My mom is fine. with me moving anything. She entertains all my shenanigans. I could just tell her, hey, I'm going anywhere tomorrow. She's like game. Like my mom is just like super chill. I mean, of course she will miss me, of course I'm gonna miss her cooking, but she's pretty good with like, you know, everything that I do, because she just know that I am kind of like a crazy person, like that I love to experience things. So she kind of like, you know, encourages all my craziness. She's just like, she helped me move, she does everything, so she's there when I need whatever I need from her. So she said her mom is Asian, and I don't think she ever got over her moving out 12 years ago. I mean, they will never get over it. That's how Haitian parents are. Like, if you don't know, Haitian parents, typically you live with them until you die or married, but that's never been the plan for me. I've always wanted to move out because, you know, as much as I love my mom, I couldn't live with her, to be quite honest, because she would rearrange everything as soon as I leave the house, and I cannot have that. Like, no thank you. Of course they love you so much, you know, they always gonna have you in the back of their mind, but you have to remember that you have to live your life. You know, you did not come on earth just for you to live a replica of the lives that they lived. So you kind of have to go out and just do what you want to do. So don't ever feel bad. I mean, of course you miss your parents and all that stuff, but don't ever feel bad for like doing things for you, because you should be doing things for you. Because at the end of the day, if you do not do things for you, if you do things just for your parents, you will regret your life, believe me. You will. I mean, my mom wanted me to be a nurse. If I had been a nurse, I would have just regretted it. I've always been very strong-minded. I've always known kind of like what I wanted, or I would say I know what I didn't want. Not necessarily like what I really wanted, because I want so many things, so it was very hard for me to kind of like narrow things down, but I've always known what I didn't want. How much do you charge your friends for your photo services? The same price that I charge everybody. I don't charge my friend a certain rate than other people, because my rates are so cheap. I am the cheapest photographer out there, so my rates are like so cheap, like it's not even funny. So you can go on my blog. I have a place for my rates and everything. Are marriage and children something you want in the future? Also, do you think it's possible to balance a less conventional life, influencer, lots of travel, with a stable personal life? Hope this isn't too personal. Love your content. Honestly, 3 months ago or 6 months ago, if you have asked me if marriage and children was something that I wanted in the future, I would have told you probably not, because I wasn't there. I think it's because that I needed to fulfill this whole traveling thing. I just was not ready for it, to be quite honest. I think now that I've moved to Mexico and then I've lived the life that I wanted, now that I'm back, now I feel like I'm ready. But again, if you had asked me this 4 months ago when you posted the question, or 6 months ago, I would have told you no, I wasn't. Like, I did not want any of these things like 5 months ago. And after being out, now I feel like I'm finally ready, you know, to be married. I'm ready to be married. I'm ready for the husband and maybe the kid. I'm still like I'm still questioning things. It's just like, since I was little, I never wanted kids. I'm never one of those person who dreamed about the wedding, you know, like every girl dream about like their weddings and, you know, having children. It was never one of my dreams. If anything, I've always been like against all those things. So yeah, now I definitely consider myself, you know, being married, being, you know, a stepmom and everything. I want to be the last wife and the second wife, you know. I don't want to be the first wife. That's just the last. Or stepmom. I wouldn't mind being a stepmom. But as far as children goes, it would be nice. I feel like I'm more interested in like the experience of being pregnant than actually being a mother. So that's something that I'm still deciding if it's something that's in my future. So yeah, but marriage, I definitely yeah, would love that. Do you think it's possible to balance a less conventional life, influencer, lots of travels? Absolutely. I feel like it's so much easier for me to balance my life now as an influencer, because I make my own schedule than when I work a 9 to 5. When you work a 9 to 5, you're literally on a schedule. Like, I feel like it's so much harder to balance, because if you need to go anywhere, you have to ask for permission to go on vacation and everything. I know, guys, it's getting darker, and I don't think there's a light in here. There's no light in this one. But yeah, I feel like it's so much harder to balance your life and have like a stable personal life when you actually work a 9 to 5. I feel like when you work for yourself, which I think it should be I mean, being an entrepreneur, it's not for everyone, but I think it should be a goal for everyone to kind of like work for themselves. Like, you don't have to be an entrepreneur per se. I feel like there's certain things you could do where you don't necessarily have to be like a big entrepreneur or something. You could still do freelance or something like that. You still be working for someone at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I still work for someone too, but it's just kind of like different because I make my own schedule and everything. There's certain things, you know, it's more convenient for me to just kind of like get up and go. So yeah, I have since being an influencer, I've got a better personal life than I did before, I think. So yeah, I felt like before I didn't really have like a personal life. I feel like when you do something that you really enjoy, like it does, even though it bleeds into your personal life, you don't mind because it's something that you like, so it doesn't really like feel like work. So yeah, just curious as to why I left the US. Loving the Mexico vlogs, thank you. I think I've just touched on that already. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just literally my plan was to move to London, and then after learning the history of London, I was just like, oh, maybe I wouldn't want to live there. And then I switched it to France, and then, you know, with the paperwork I got fed up, and then I was just like, let's go to Mexico because it's so easy. And yeah, so guys, this has been it for my life of the video on why I moved to Mexico. Hope you enjoy. I hope that includes something. I have another one coming as to why I moved back. I will give you kind of like all the things that kind of like happened to the reason why I moved back. I know I touched on this briefly on here, but there will be more coming. Thank you again so much for watching. I will catch you in my next one. Bye bye.